The girl was too nervous on her first day at work. Her dress accidentally split wide open. He scrambled to cover it up by saying it was too hot. He took off his jacket and tied it around his waist to cover it. When it's time to meet the boss, she tried to smile to hide her apprehension. The boss kept making ear-splitting screams. It scared the girl. The smile on her face faded away.
Hello, Louisa Clark. I'm Will Traynor.
The girl couldn't believe it, that this was the man she was going to take care of. Not only was he paralyzed, he's also a terrible person. He's already pissed off his personal carer. Now he's planning to get rid of the girl too. But he didn't realize he couldn't get rid of this girl because she's special. Dad has been unemployed for half a year. Mom stayed at home to take care of Grandpa. Her sister got pregnant out of wedlock, but she wants to go to university after giving birth. The pressure of a family of 5 is all on her. Life seems to be very unfair to her, but she was optimistic and never complained. She has suffered from life's torture. Would she still be afraid of an ill-tempered rich kid? Fawn came to the castle every day dressed in bright colors. Her style of dress was just like the person she was. She's so bright and colorful. She added color to the dreary home, but Will only gave her looks of disdain. Fawn was afraid he'd be bored. Asked him what he did in his spare time.
I don't do anything, Miss Clark. I sit. I just about exist.
Will's every word was a grimace. Fawn couldn't help it. Fawn had no choice, so he turned round and went out, and sat alone in the garden eating his lunch. Despite the mansion's favorable conditions, there was plenty of food to go around, but it wasn't her day. Fawn had just arrived at the castle that day. Will's mother told her that an important guest was coming to see Will, and she needed to be excused. It was Will's ex-girlfriend and his best mate. After Will was paralyzed, his girlfriend turned to his brother. They're here to send out wedding invitations. Will's face didn't look happy or angry. He just said,
"Congratulations."
Before leaving, the ex-girlfriend inexplicably said to Fawn, "He was the one who kept pushing me away. Some people don't want to be saved. You can't save him." When they left, Will knocked over all their pictures with his wheelchair. It was the only way he could get his anger out. Looking at him like that, Fawn was a little sad. The next day, Fawn bought glue and carefully glued each frame. Unfortunately, her good intentions were not appreciated by Will. He didn't hesitate to insult her with sarcasm. He said that Fawn was too proud of herself. This time, Fawn didn't give in anymore.
You don't have to be an arse. Not because I care about you or particularly enjoy your company, but because I need the money. I really need the money.
Will was silent. Suddenly he felt guilty. He wanted to apologize to Fawn, but he couldn't bring himself to do so. So he asked Fawn to watch the film with him. So he asked Fawn to go to the cinema with him as a way to make peace with him. While watching the film, he kept watching Fawn's reaction. We all want to be recognized for the good things we share. Of course he's no exception.
So,
I loved it.
From that day on, their relationship became much better. They would watch films together on rainy days. They'd go for walks in the sunshine, discussing cinema, food, clothes, and ideals. And then winter came. Will was in a lot of pain. Fawn overheard the scars on his wrists when she was babysitting. The scars were from one of his many suicide attempts. This touched Fawn's soft heart. Fawn looked at Will with love and pity. That night, Fawn didn't leave. She stayed at Will's bedside all night. She took the computer at the bedside. She saw the old Will on it. This rich kid used to have everything. Handsome, 8-pack abs, a young man with over $1 billion in assets, a beautiful friend, a job that paid him every cent. But God played a big joke on him. A car accident left him paralyzed. Fawn wanted to cheer him up. She shaved his face clean. After the shave, Will showed his handsome face, deep dimples, and a strong nose. Fawn was mesmerized. But what she didn't know, behind this smiling face was a broken heart. That day, Fawn overheard Will's parents arguing. It turns out that half a year ago, Will asked for euthanasia. The father didn't want to see his son living in a deep vortex. He decided to support his son's choice. Fawn couldn't stand by and watch Will die. She ran home and cried to her sister. But her sister told her, why don't we use these 6 months and take Will to complete a bucket list? Maybe if she went for a walk, and he'd change his mind. Fawn was inspired. He asked Will's parents for traveling money. He took Will to a concert with him, and he changed his outfit from his usual rustic look, a red dress that caught Will's eye. But you can't hide a person's personality with clothes. Before the show, Fawn didn't shy away from helping Will bite the tags off his clothes. Looking at Fawn's serious expression, Will couldn't help but laugh. At the concert, Fawn was so absorbed in her music, and Will was watching her face. And then he laughed. He was infected by this simple girl. The concert was over. Fawn wanted to take Will home, but he refused. He didn't want to go back to his cold home so soon.
I just want to be a man who's been to a concert with a girl in a red dress.
Will laughed when he said that. He laughed at himself. He laughed at the cruel reality. He didn't dare to love Fawn, and he was afraid that Fawn would fall in love with him. He knew very well it was impossible for him to have a future with Fawn in his body. But when Fawn invited him to celebrate her birthday, he agreed. At the birthday party, he bought Fawn a pair of yellow stockings that she had been longing for. Fawn was as happy as a baby. Her 2 eyebrows fluttered. She was so excited that she seemed to be floating up to the sky. Soon it was time for his ex-girlfriend's wedding day. Will and Fawn were dressed to the nines. At the wedding, Will behaved like a gentleman. Switzerland. The music started. The electric wheelchair carries the two of them, dancing in the crowd. They were all smiles. No matter what people say, they only had eyes for each other. Will told Fawn he's the only thing that keeps him going when he wakes up every morning. It's true, Will had already fallen in love with Fawn, but even with the tenderness in his eyes, Will never told her about euthanasia, which means he still hasn't given up on the idea. The date for euthanasia is getting closer and closer. Fawn had to make Will want to live before then, so she planned one last trip. They traveled to an island, sunbathing on the shore, watching the others play, and with Will's encouragement, Fawn took her first dive, and danced on the moonlit beach for the first time. They snuggled together. Fawn couldn't help but kiss Will. Will's eyes were burning. Fawn finally found the courage to persuade him to change his mind, not to go to Switzerland for euthanasia. Unexpectedly, Will's determination to die was still strong.
When we get back, I'm going to Switzerland. So I'm asking you if you feel the things you say you feel. Come with me.
Fawn cried and begged him, if for her to live, but Will said, it was because he loved her. That's why he had to set her free, because he couldn't give Fawn the happiness that a normal man could. Most of all, he couldn't accept that he was useless. He even asked Fawn to go to Switzerland with him, to accompany him on his last journey. When Fawn heard these words, she was devastated.
Don't say another word. You're so selfish. I do all my heart out in front of you, and all you can say is no. And now you want me to come and watch the worst thing you could possibly imagine. Do you have any idea what you're asking? I wish I had never taken this stupid job. I wish I had never met you.
Fawn chose to leave. She couldn't watch the person she loved end her life. When she got home, Fawn wailed and cried. When her mother found out what happened, she got angry and yelled at her. She said it was like murder. Fawn didn't say a word. She was just a little sleepy every day, until her father came to her, and he said to her, you haven't failed. No one can change a man's true heart. The best gift you can give him is not the hope of life. It's your love. When Fawn found out that Will had left for Switzerland, she decided to go there, to see Will one last time before his surgery. They didn't talk much, but they were both filled with sadness. Fawn opened the window, and the sun shone through, and touches both of their faces. Fawn pressed herself against Will's chest, and felt his last heartbeat. Will was in his lover's arms, in the arms of his beloved. Because I love you, and respect you for leaving. Because I love you, so I must leave.